Hello, my name is Rachel and welcome to my channel. I am here today to talk to you about The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. This is a book I read over the last few days as part of the banned book-a-thon, and yeah, I just wanted to do a bit of a review for it. I'm going to do a little non-spoiler section, but then there is going to be a slight spoiler section within the video, just because there's some stuff that I really want to talk about within this text because I found it absolutely beautiful. So, The Colour Purple is an epistolary novel. It is told through a series of letters from Celie to God and between Celie and her sister. As the story opens, it is very sad. We see our protagonist Celie go through some pretty horrible things within the first 5 or 10 pages. We know that she has been raped by her father to the point of having 2 kids by him. We know that he's trying to rape the sister, her mum's died, and he sells her off to some guy who doesn't really care about her, just wants someone to look after his kids. So that's really like within the first 5 or 10 pages, so it's not a spoiler. So we see this text open in a really dismal fashion, and it is horrible at the start, but this novel makes you so happy by the end, and it presents a lot of injustices within the world, which is really hard to read, but I think it kind of overcomes a lot of them, and I think it really is beautiful, and it really does make you happy at the end, and I think that is brilliant. It's beautiful that something can take on such serious themes and still make a reader happy. I think that is amazing to do, actually. The reason I think that this book is banned is because it is a strong feminist text, which obviously in some places that are more sexist and don't have as better view of women as we have in my country, for instance. I think that it might be you want to ban it so that women don't get empowered. I think probably banned because there is some very explicit scenes in here of violence of a sexual nature, and obviously for certain ages it is inappropriate, I would say, and also probably banned for the fact that there are homosexual themes within this, and obviously if some places don't agree with homosexual relationships, then they are not going to be fond of that. And finally, this book deals with race in a very blunt way, I think. Not all through the text, to be honest, but I think with stories such as Sophia's and Nettie's experiences with the Alinka tribe, I think it is. But obviously, if people have a negative view about different races, then they aren't going to want to read something like this. So they are the reasons that I chose. Well, they are the reasons that I think it's been banned. I didn't choose it for that. I chose it because I heard that it was a strong feminist text and it's been banned before, and that's why I chose to read it. But having read it, they are the reasons that I think it was banned. So if you haven't read this book, please go out and buy it. Please read it. It will make you happy. I'm going to discuss some spoilers now, so if you haven't read it, please feel free to leave. Okay, so the first thing I want to discuss is Nettie's experience with the Alinka tribe, which I found just so effective in trying to get people to understand kind of the danger of colonialism and how it can really destroy lives. One of the mothers says to Nettie, "A girl is nothing to herself, only to her husband can she become something. What can she become?" I reply. "Why," she said, "the mother of his children." There's a very negative view of women within this tribe. However, obviously you are in a different society and it is a different time, and it's a country that is not as advanced as in other countries and won't have electricity and technology and all those things that kind of bring you as forward as the other place within the novel. So I think you can kind of understand the views. They might not be the best views, but you can understand them. However, the parts I found most effective about the experiences of Nettie were when the road is coming. So when they're building the road and the people are like, oh, it's getting closer, it's getting closer, I think as a reader you can kind of glean what's happening. It was just disgusting to see the way that they like dug these people out. It's like they slowly built this road. Then they said, oh right, you can still do your roofs the way you want, we won't put roofs on. But then they dug under all the stuff that made the, is it reef leaf or something like that? They dug under all of those so that they couldn't make their roof, so that they had to buy a roof, and then they charged them ridiculous amounts to buy it. Someone bought the land and then began to tax them, and it was just this slow kind of driving someone out of their own home, and it was disgusting. It was so effective to kind of show why colonialism should be combated. And I thought it was very, very, very good with that. I have another quote about that, and it is, but this is what the villagers are doing to young women and even the men, carving their identification as a people into their children's faces. But the children think of scarification as backward, something from their grandparents' generation, and often resist. So this is about the fact that after this is happening, this tribe feel the need to keep their tribe. They want to keep their values alive, and they've lost their village, they've lost their church, they've lost their school, they've lost their farms, they've lost everything, and the only thing they have left is each other. And to kind of try and keep their tribe alive and their religious beliefs alive and that sort of thing, they do this scarification ceremony where they will carve into people's faces. And there's also a mutilation of a girl that's like a rite of passage, which I think sounded like genital mutilation. Oh, it was just really hard to read because these, you know that it's wrong, you know this scarification, genital mutilation shouldn't be happening, but you're like, they're having to do it because they're being drove by these forces that are destroying them as a people, and they need to keep their like people alive through these traditional tribal actions on things like that. And I just thought it was very, very effective in that way. Really enjoyed Sophia within the text, especially at the beginning, the way Harpo decides to try and make her mind, and like literally like the first time he goes in and he tries to beat her, and he comes out covered in bruises, black eyes, and it's just completely like, don't touch her. Like, who do you think you are? You can't touch her. And there is like a quote from her that says, I love Harpo, she say, God knows I do, but I'll kill him dead before I let him beat me. And it's just perfect. That is the way that anyone should respond to someone who is domestically abusing them, no matter how much they love you. If they turn around and try and hit you, no, that's not okay. No matter how much you love someone, that is never, never, never okay. And I just think that Sophia was absolutely perfect, and the way they portrayed her in that. Obviously, her story does become more harrowing, and I think it was very effective to try and show the way that, you know, she identifies as being a slave, and she says, I am still in slavery, and her son says, you shouldn't be saying that, we've got ourselves out of slavery, and she's like, I haven't, I'm working for free every day And that, like, she did do something wrong. She did hit someone, but that someone insulted her, and she shouldn't have been locked away for as long as she was. It was probably around 13, 14 years at the least, and it's just like no one else would have got that much time. So it's a really common thing within literature to leave a woman nameless in a means of undermining her. So when you read of Mice and Men, we have Curly's wife, who is always referred to as Curly's wife. She's never given a name, she's never given an identification. Her only identifier is herself as the possession of her husband, Curly's wife. So that is really common. We see it in the yellow wallpaper. She's never really given a name. Everyone else in the text gets a name but her, because she is being undermined by these patriarchal structures. So it is a really, really common thing within literature. And I think what was so good about Alice Walker was that the husband of Celie was treated in this way. It was Mr. something. Him not having a name and just having Mr. blank kind of allows him to become the face of this like patriarchal society and embody just every man who treats a woman like that. Instead of being specifically this man does it, it's just, oh look, there's another man doing it. And I just thought it was very, very effective, and I really enjoyed it. And that's how I understood him not having a second name. Obviously it might not be for that, but yeah, I took it as meaning that, and I found it very, very refreshing that it was this tactic was used for a male character instead of a female character. Another thing that I found beautiful in this novel was Celie's slow identification of herself being... She never identifies as a lesbian, but I would say that she is. We have her saying, "First time I got the full sight of Shug Avery, long black body with it black plum nipples, look like her mouth, I thought I had turned into a man." Which, you know, she'd have to turn into a man to fancy a woman is kind of implied there, but that, you know, that is a society would demand that. And I just think that it was beautiful that she gets that the first time she ever sees Shug, but she's not going to act on it. But the more empowered she gets throughout the novel, the more she becomes herself and the more she is able to be in love with Shug. It targets quite a lot of prejudices that occur in the world and injustices, and it targets so many, but all brilliantly. And yeah, I found it perfect. The last thing it targets is traditional gender roles. So, you know, at the end of the text, well, throughout the text, we have Shug's personality, which challenges the way a woman is supposed to behave at this time. So, a quote from Celie about Shug is that Shug talk and act sometimes like a man. Men say stuff like that to women. Girl, you look like a good time. It's kind of saying Shug acts however she wants. Shug will say to anyone whatever she wants to say. But that isn't a trait of a man. That is just a trait of someone with a strong extroverted personality, really. And you know, that's what she does. She encapsulates the personality that she is who she wants to be. And I just found that really empowering. On top of that is the fact that she starts making pants for all the women to wear. And, you know, someone says to her, women can't wear pants, they need to wear skirts and dresses. And Shug says to her, you look ridiculous doing the work outside in skirts and dresses. You need some pants on. Like, you're working outside, you're just going to trip over your skirt. It's ridiculous. And she just starts making all these pants and she sends them to everyone. And it's just this, like, she empowers all the women in this circle around her at the end of the text. And I loved it because they had all empowered her throughout the book. You see Squeak's transformation to Mary Agnes, I think it is, and how she has to stand up to her husband and say, no, you need to call me by my proper name. Obviously Shug's personality, Nettie's explanation of her life, and Olivia being able to be educated, even though everyone's like, oh, don't educate women. But it's like, no, she's getting educated. Like, all of these women slowly empower Celie through the things that are happening in their life and the actions that they are taking for themselves. And I think that symbolic trade of empowerment is just absolutely beautiful. And finally, we see at the end her husband, original husband, who she's not with anymore, say that he really liked sewing, and he starts sewing with Celie. And I think that is finally like the perfect circle for the text. At the beginning, like I said, you have this Mr. Blank. He's kind of embodying all the men in this misogynist society who will treat women in this horrible way. It's that nameless sea of men who will oppress women. And by the time you get to the end, he has been overcome and he has realised that his treatment of Celie was wrong. And it all comes to a crux when he starts doing the sewing, and you see him realise that women aren't second class, the things they do aren't second class, and men and women can both do the same thing and be respected within society. And he does this by taking on a hobby or a job or whatever that is traditionally feminine and doing it himself, even though before he never ever would have been caught dead doing it. And I just thought that was a really good end to the novel. It really like rounded the whole thing off to try and really put forward like people are overcoming oppression every day. The most oppressive people within society, you can change their mind. You know, you just have to work at it. I obviously gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And I adore it. This is definitely one of the best books that I've read this year. And I think it'll be one of my favourite books for quite a while. I really, really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the book as much as I did. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!